Tyndale Audio presents The Rapture in the Twinkling of an Eye by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. Narrated by Steve Sever. Nicolae Carpathia had morphed into the consummate politician, diplomat, and international gadfly. He found reasons to travel, establishing alliances with heads of state who would not have thought to grant an audience to someone from the Romanian lower house, except that he was so persuasive. And he had become the most popular man in his home country, admired, respected, even by his opponents. He was a man of peace, a dove, into disarmament. He had not yet visited the United States, but he was certainly known everywhere else. His brilliance, business acumen, and accomplishments seemed somehow known by all, without his having to trumpet himself. And the way he deflected praise made people pour it on all the more. Nicolae had learned the art of humility, or at least of appearing humble. His goal was to bypass the upper house and run for president of Romania. It was time to move, to take what he believed was rightfully his. He had bowed the knee, worshipped his Lord and Master in exchange for the kingdoms of the world. It was time for Nicolae Carpathia to emerge. Rayford Steele realized that his life and career had reached both their zenith and their nadir at once. There was nowhere else for him to go within PanCon Airlines unless it was management, and that held no appeal. He was flying the flagships of the fleet, had his choice of routes, and virtually set his own schedule. He had mediated the latest skirmish between Irene and Chloe, which resulted in Chloe's dropping out of church altogether. If anything, Irene had grown chillier than ever since then. Rayford didn't know what her problem was with Chloe. They could not have asked for a more ideal daughter. She was a gem, recipient of a full-ride academic scholarship from Stanford. He had the same high hopes for Ramey, but he worried about the kid. Was he becoming a mama's boy? There was nothing soft or sissified about him except that he was so much into Irene's religion. That couldn't be good. What other boy that age was still enamored with church? The only interesting thing on Rayford's horizon remained Hattie Durham. She occasionally rode on his trips to England and other points east. Her goal was enough seniority that she could choose her routes. She had made it clear she would choose his flights, if that was all right with him. Rayford had made it clear that this was his wish, too. That was ironic. It represented way more than had ever gone on between them. In point of fact, Rayford had never touched the woman. He hoped his looks and tone of voice had made their points. But Hattie was the toucher in this relationship. She would lay a hand gently on his shoulder as she slid past him in the bulkhead. She touched his hand while talking with him at the occasional dinner, or while thanking him for frequent rides home. Rayford had never been inside her place, and they rarely saw each other alone. But with his life going the way it was and his midlife crisis kicking up alarmingly, he began allowing himself to think of the possibilities. Buck Williams had been with Global Weekly nearly 4 years. He had already written more than 30 cover stories, including 3 Newsmaker of the Year pieces. He wanted to bag a fourth, so he went to the next staff meeting with his nomination in mind. Dr. Chaim Rosenzweig of Israel, the humble chemical engineer who had concocted a formula that made the desert bloom like a greenhouse. The result was that the tiny nation of Israel had suddenly become one of the richest in the world. The writing assignment went to Buck. He had, after all, done the story when Rosenzweig won the Nobel Prize. After their interview in Haifa, Buck had enjoyed a leisurely late evening meal with Dr. Rosenzweig at his kibbutz. After dinner, Rosenzweig's driver dropped Buck off at the nearby military compound where he would stay before his dawn flight back to the States. As Buck headed through the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?